Ever struggled with leveling your mix? Not knowing how loud your lead should be or how loud the vocals should be compared to the pads? Yeah, that was me for years, moving faders endlessly and never getting it right, until I came up with this perfect scientific system. I remember spending days adjusting levels, constantly second-guessing, is the vocal too loud? Is the snare too low? I'd level a mix, come back the next day and move every fader again. Endless revisions, zero confidence. And the advice I found was either too generic, like set your kick at -6 dB, too vague, trust your ears, or flat out wrong. But what if your kick isn't balanced? What if your ears are tired? I needed something more scientific. So here's what I discovered that changed everything. If your sound has too many high frequencies, you'll perceive it as louder than it actually is. So naturally, you turn it down. But now it's actually too quiet in the mix. You just can't tell because the frequency imbalance is tricking your perception. This is why volume decisions are so hard. We're trying to balance levels of sounds that aren't balanced themselves. It's like trying to park a car with misaligned wheels. No matter how careful you are or how good of a driver you are, the car will end up crooked. Once I figured out how to frequency balance sounds with Pro-MB, like I showed last time, I realized something huge. That balanced position, where the sound sits right on the verge of triggering the compressor, that's not just for measuring and balancing. That can also be your calibration point, your zero, your true north. Every sound should start from this calibrated position, not some arbitrary fader position, not wherever it sounds good, an actual measurable, consistent starting point. Here's the method that changed everything. After I frequency balance a sound, it's sitting at that perfect threshold point in Pro-MB. That's my starting position. Now I'm free to make an artistic decision. Does this sound need to be in the front of the mix or in the back? If it needs to sit back, like a pad or an ambient texture, I lower it by multiples of 6 dB. Why 6? Because psychoacoustically, that's roughly how we perceive volume changes. So I'll try -6 dB. Too loud? -12 dB. Still too prominent? -18 dB. But what if it needs small dB changes? Here's the finesse part. Let's say -18 dB is close, but still a bit too loud, and -24 dB is a bit too quiet. Now I fine-tune in 2 dB increments. So I'll try -20 dB or -22 dB and see what hits that sweet spot. Why 2 dB, you ask? Well, because 1 dB changes are barely perceptible from my experience, so I can barely hear a 1 dB change. But feel free to experiment with 1 dB increments if you want. The beauty is I'm not guessing anymore. I'm making calculated moves from a calibrated starting point. Without that Pro-MB calibration, where would you even start? Some tutorials suggest starting with faders at -10 dB or unity gain, but that's still arbitrary. My kick at unity might be totally different from yours. But when every sound starts from its spectrally balanced position, you're comparing apples to apples. A balanced kick at threshold versus a balanced vocal at threshold. Now you can make real mixing decisions based on musicality, not on fixing frequency problems with volume faders. This method took me from days of second-guessing to mixing levels in seconds. Literally seconds. Because I'm not fighting frequency imbalances with volume faders anymore. I'm not guessing. I'm measuring, calibrating, then making artistic choices from a place of confidence. And once levels are set, they're set. No more endless revisions. No more, let me just tweak the vocal down by 0.5 dB for the 100th time. When you start from the right place, you end up in the right place. But here's what I haven't told you. You can make artistic decisions with every element within your track, except 2, the kick and the bass. So do you know how loud the kick and bass should be? Because I promise you don't. So hit the subscribe button, because in the next video I'm gonna be showing you how to level your kick and bass correctly. And there's only one way to do it.